Designing jewelry is part of the creation process that we mention, but we don't really talk a lot about on air outside of jewel school. Yet this is the first step in creating beautiful jewelry. And if it's done wrong, it can lead to confusion, rework, or sometimes even a loss of money. Charles Winston designs for two of our lines here at Jewelry Television, and he agreed to walk us through the design of one of his new pieces for his Charles Winston for Bella Luce. I'm really excited to see what he has to say because I can't wait to hear about the nuances and all of the work that goes into designing jewelry.
How are you?
I'm good.
I miss you.
You know, hanging in. How are you?
I'm hanging out.
For those who might not be familiar, can you tell us a little bit about the Charles Winston for Bella Luce line here at JTV?
I started at JTV doing the Moissanite Fire collection. And after about 4 years of getting emails, oh, I love your designs, I'm waiting, I'm saving. If you've been saving for 4 years and you still haven't made your first purchase, I'm going to bet that you're probably going to be saying that for the next 4 years. Let me give you something to hold you over until you're able to make that Moissanite commitment. I'm going to hold a bracelet right here. It's an eternity bangle bracelet that has 4mm bezel set stones that I gave to my wife in 2004, but it was out of my sample line. This piece was actually made around 1995.
Wow.
We're now bringing it to JTV. My wife's like, I should be, doing the design.
Yeah.
This will be on JTV, I think, in my December rotation, but we're going to do it only in the yellow gold over.
Nice. So we're going to talk through a piece today. I'm really excited to chat about the design process. What piece of jewelry are you going to walk us through?
A pair of earrings that I just designed that's going to be debuting on September, I think it's 27th or 28th when my next Bella Luce shows are. And what I've done it in Moissanite in an anniversary, and at first as an eternity band, but we're talking 6 years ago, it was over $1,500. Today it would be much more.
Wow.
And then we did it as an anniversary band for about $800, and that's still a lot of money. Well, I redid it in my Charles Winston for Bella Luce as an eternity band, but somebody says, can you make earrings to go with it? So voila. We're going to do this in gold over and in rhodium, both at the same time, which normally we typically don't do, but it's going to be a winner. These are baguettes going across and then 2 rows of
rounds going down.
Rounds, thank you for that. I needed help with my verbiage.
Where did the inspiration, where did the
inspiration
original?
came from? So the inspiration came from having done the eternity band, and somebody said, can you make a pair of earrings? And I go, well, that's actually one of the simplest. You cut it in half, and then you have the hoop.
What about the eternity band?
On the eternity band, the inspiration came from a diamond eternity band that I had picked all the stones for when I was working for my family. So the way creating a piece of jewelry, you'd come in, you'd pick your diamonds, you'd sit with the designer, he would sketch out a piece. From there, it was all handmade, and then we'd handpick the diamonds. Then after picking the stones, we'd send it upstairs to the 3rd floor to the shop where they would actually make it into a piece of finished jewelry. And this was a pair of platinum and diamond earrings that I had actually picked the stones for.
Once you have an idea for an item, I'm assuming you have a team now that will actually sketch it out for you. How does that process work? And obviously,
so
you can keep any insider secrets.
And I can't do it all anymore. I mean, we're creating on average about 500 new pieces a month, and they don't all go to production. Mm-hmm. Out of those 500 pieces, we're really looking for 50 pieces to actually, or 60 pieces to go to production.
Is that across both of your lines? Is that for?
Pretty much. I've done designs. I've had probably 500,000 designs since I started doing this back in the 1980s. My team of designers now also goes through my pieces, old and new. They know my style, so I have about 60 designers that are on my team that come to me with designs. I also still create new designs, but probably about 70% of the time, my designers now come to me, show me the design, and I like it, or I say, you know what, I like this, but let's change this. I like this, let's change that, or I love it just the way it is, and I sign off on it. We show those designs to the buyer. from the buyer. She'll say yes or no or get me pricing. So what we have to do is, if it's not been built yet, we give estimated pricing, because we can only pretty much, really close, we can guess at how much metal is going to be in the piece. We pretty much know for sure how many stones and what the stone costs are going to be, but it's the metal weight that's going to tweak the price up or down a couple of dollars one way or the other. So we'll show the buyer, we'll show her the estimated pricing. And then she says, oh, that's too high. And then we go, well, let's go on to the next piece. So of the 300 pieces we'll show for the Bella Luce, she's going to pick 50 of them that she wants to see pricing on. Then we give her the pricing. Then we narrow it down to about 25 pieces. Then we make those samples of the 25 pieces.
So at that point,
she
is she
sees the
just
live sample.
at that point is she just looking at like a sketch? Is it a hand sketch? Is it a computerized sketch?
It's a hand sketch and a computerized sketch of CAD.
Okay.
So she'll look at that and she'll say, out of 50 pieces, she'll order 25 or 30 and say, let me get pricing on this. When we get the sample of those 25 or 30 pieces to her, sometimes it looks like what you expected, sometimes it doesn't, and so she'll take 15 or 20 of those and say, let's go forward with these.
How long does it take? Because it sounds like you can have one design and it goes through iterations, and you can have rework and designs from the initial kind of sketch, and assuming for the ones that actually go forward, how long does that process take until it maybe becomes something that's actually scheduled for air?
It takes about a week for me to start to get them sketches and CADs.
Okay.
It takes another 2 weeks for them to respond and make a decision which ones they like. So that's 3 weeks right there. Then it takes another week or two or about a week to get them any kind of ballpark pricing. So there you're at a month. Then they say, okay, we want to see samples. That takes about another 3 to 4 weeks. That's 2 months. We go back and forth and negotiate on price, or if we have to change things, that's another week or two. So that's 2.5 months. And then they place an order, and that's another 2.5 months for production. So you're at about 5 months from the time that we sit down and start to the point that it's actually in the building available for sale.
Wow, that's a long lead time.
It really, when you think about it, that's why right now we're looking at products with the buyer for January, February, March, and April of next year.
Wow.
And then, of course, most of my production happens overseas, and you have a lot of overseas holidays. So Chinese New Year doesn't just shut down China, it shuts down all of Asia for about a month. So that sort of kills production time for anything that's due for the springtime.
There's just so many factors that go into making jewelry that I think when you see it on air and you see something that's like $29, $39, $49, you don't realize all of the steps and the processes that have gone into it.
I honestly don't understand how anybody can make a piece of jewelry that retails for $29.
What would you say is the most complicated part of the design process?
To build a structurally sound piece that I'm going to be proud that you own and you're going to be proud that you own, while using high quality materials, high quality labor, and hit the price point that the buyers are asking from me. Because that's a challenge. Without, anybody, if they said, hey, can you make this for half the price? Sure, I'll do it in base metal. I'll have the stones set in the wax, but it's not going to be polished underneath, because anybody that does what they call wax setting, there is a technology that you can actually put the stone into the wax before they cast, and the stone actually comes out in the casting, and then they polish around it. But if you're doing it right, you got to polish inside where the stone is, otherwise you're not going to get all that reflection. I could do wax setting. I could eliminate the human factor almost 100%, but I'm not going to. And so now it's a matter of how little money can I support my company, our employees, and still be ethical and give you a quality piece of jewelry. And I will not compromise my quality over dollars.
Well, Charles, I can't wait to see the finished product in person. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I'd love to join you again. In the meanwhile, God bless you all. Thank you for being loyal to JTV and me, and we'll see you soon. God bless.
Thank you to all of you for tuning in. Stay tuned for more episodes of In the Know, and we'll see you soon.